You've got to shoot this bit, Margaret. You've got to shoot it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Whiteout podcast, brought to you by our fantastic sponsor, Ski Weekends. I'm Dom, in the Snow Mag. Let's introduce my go-to co-host, the one and only. It's Rob Stewart. How are you, Rob?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Dom. Well, I'm good, and I'm in between skiing at the moment, but luckily I have been properly testing the product over the past few weeks, testing skis in the Snow Mag as well, and so look out for those reviews on In the Snow Mag YouTube channel.
Yeah, feels like a long time ago now, Rob. I've just flown in from Saas-Fate in Switzerland, but I know we were out in La Clusaz testing all those skis, and wow, how many views have they had already? Thousands of views already. It's incredible. So Brilliant. Definitely go to the YouTube channel In the Snow Mag and check out all those lovely videos. Rob, you were on fire out there. I mean, some of your reviews were absolutely fantastic. Really, really good.
It's good fun.
So for anyone tuning in for the first time this week, here's what you can expect from every episode from us. We've got the freshest ski news from around the world, the lowdown on where the snow's really good right now, deep dives into the season's hottest gear, regular updates from Ed Drake over at the Ski Racing Podcast on what's happening in the world of ski racing. And of course, we'll be bringing you some of the most epic ski destinations from around the world. All of this is thanks to our awesome partners and sponsors of the Whiteout Podcast, Ski Weekends.
Yes, Ski Weekends. Yes, our headline sponsor this season, and they offer 3, 4 or 7 night stays in catered chalets and fully flexible hotel options. Whether you're a solo traveller, planning a group trip or looking for accommodation in some of the biggest and best ski areas, Ski Weekends has you covered. Check them out at skiweekends.com.
Big thanks to Ski Weekends for joining us. Thank you very much indeed. What else, Rob?
Well, quick reminder for our listeners, if you've got friends considering their first ski holiday, last week we saw episode 1 of our 4-part mini-series in association with Crystal Ski Holidays Skiing 101. It's everything you need to know about your first ski holiday, so definitely get your mates to check that out. It's aimed to take away any pain when it comes to going on your very first ski holiday. Right, so Dom, what have we got coming up in today's show?
Well, as I say, I'm just in from Saas-Fate. I've literally just flown in from Switzerland, not showing off, but I'm absolutely knackered. So if anybody sees me on video, that's why I look like this. We also have Vanessa Fischer talking to us about Les Menuires in the Three Valleys, which is our destination of the week. And we also have a fab guest in the name of Roisin Timpson, part of the Timpson family. We all know the key cutters and shoemakers and candlestick makers, with some amazing news about a fab development in Morzine. So more on that a little bit later.
Yeah, it was actually great to catch up with Vanessa, talk about Les Menuires, and Roisin, really interesting. So yes, stick around for that one. In the meantime, let's get stuck into this week's episode, shall we?
What have we got first, Rob?
Well, I'm going to talk about some changes in Eurosport. We've got the FIS Alpine Skiing World Championships taking place at the moment in Saalbach. Ed's going to cover the actual racing section later on in the podcast. I've been really enjoying some of the skiing in Saalbach. Coverage has been available on Eurosport, also the BBC iPlayer as well, which is great. So, you know, really, really available coverage for the Alpine Skiing World Championships.
Yeah, it's a great location, and that piece they're using is world class, Rob, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout out to the commentary team on Eurosport. It includes Ed Drake, of course, and his compatriot Marcel Mattis, and also Matt Chilton, and much newer to the scene, Charlie Guest. Charlie was supposed to be skiing with me in the middle of March, and now she's been so good on Eurosport that they've said, nope, you need to stay here doing this job, I'm afraid. So, God, but good on her. So there does seem to be some confusion about what is happening with the Eurosport subscription at the moment.
Saw something about this from Patrick. He was working on this, our editor. What's that all about?
I've spoken to Patrick as well, and it's still not 100% clear to me. Warner Brothers, that owned Discovery Plus, took over the channel last year, right? Mm-hmm. How I see it. Although I still don't quite understand how that all works. Maybe I should do some more research. But frankly, it's not really that interesting.
As long as it works.
Exactly. But now Eurosport and TNT are both being taken over, and all the content will channel through TNT. The thing is... Okay. TNT subscription is almost 5 times higher than the Eurosport one.
If you want to watch Eurosport, you need to subscribe to TNT, which is a lot more money.
Yes. Now, for me, I don't think it will matter because I get TNT Sports through my BT Sports package.
Okay.
But it includes lots of sports. If you're subscribing purely to Eurosport, for the skiing and maybe the tennis. And it does look like you'll have to pay a lot more for it, which is a real shame. So anyway, that story is to be seen how that develops, basically.
Let's see if Ed can shed a light on it for us.
Well, we can ask him what he says.
So what else have we got? Carrick Smith's at the Youth Olympics. Freddie Carrick Smith has just won an Olympic alpine gold medal at the 2025 Winter Olympic Youth Festival in Bakarani, Georgia, whilst competing in the giant slalom category. That's super cool. It's a fantastic result. Follows his brother Zach's 2 gold medals last year in South Korea. Remember, we reported on that in one of our podcasts in the Super G and slalom races. These boys, don't forget Luca, who has also just got his bronze in the slalom, are really producing some incredible results. There's also 18-year-old Molly Butler racing in the World Champs right now in Sailback. Molly's got a very respectable top 40 place in the women's GS. Very good news for our GB ski racers, eh?
Yeah, I caught up with Emma and the boys last week. Just fantastic to see what they're achieving over in Bakarani in Georgia in those Youth Winter Olympic Games. British skiers doing really well. I've just been watching the women's slalom. We've got 2 races in the top 30 in the second run in the women's slalom in Sailback. Brilliant effort. And Molly Butler coming in. Fantastic result for her in the GS as well. This is a nice little news story. There's been a new world record, 101 ski lifts in a single day. Who would have thought it? Oliver Kern set a new world record on the 11th of February last week. He rode an incredible 101 ski lifts in a single day during, regular operating hours, right? They didn't open longer for him. No. It's a pretty big achievement, like lots of meticulous planning, perfect timing. And he's known for his expertise in ski resorts, so I think it was a little bit of publicity for him, but it was an interesting effort.
I'm guessing he wasn't waiting in any lift lines anywhere.
Well, I think he chose a resort which was rather quiet, somewhere in the middle of Sweden, in the middle of the week. It's quite smart thinking. Why don't we find the quietest ski resort in the world where there's nobody there and just go up and down these drag lifts as much as short drag lifts? I mean, he's obviously tactically aware of his environment there, to get those 101 lifts. It may be a bit gimmicky, but it's quite a funny story.
That's very good. And also we've got International Ski Patrollers Days on February the 10th. Ski resorts around the world have come together to celebrate the fabulous job that these ski patrollers do. Yeah. Dedication, hard work, keeping our mountains safe, absolutely incredible. From avalanche control, first aid rescues, they're just basically the unsung heroes. And they work in crazy conditions. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, Rob, I got stuck on a lift in the Porte du Soleil and we were stuck for quite some time. And somebody had to zip wire down the lift and free up one of the cables. We were stuck for about 25 minutes. And out in Sarsfay, we were going up for a 5 a.m. ski down. So this was a sunrise ski down.
Right.
And whilst we were going up in the lift at 4:30 in the morning for breakfast before we skied, we could see people skiing down with torches. Wow. One of my friends, who wasn't as knowledgeable, said, "Wow, who's out skiing at that time in the morning?" And I said, "That'll be the ski patrollers, because you can't be the first people to ski down that mountain in the morning. These guys going down with flashlight torches, just checking that everything is as it needs to be before they release us onto the mountain." These guys and girls skiing the mountain and keeping everything safe for us is quite incredible. And it's a great chance on February 10th to show our appreciation to them, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've occasionally skied down the mountain at 4:30 in the morning with torches, but it's normally because I've been caught out on the Après ski up in the mountain and had to get back for breakfast.
I don't think we'll be celebrating you on February the 10th, Rob.
No, I mean, I've worked alongside ski patrollers for many years, on a serious note, and I've never worked as a ski patroller on the mountain, but total respect to those people.
Yeah, what else have we got?
Dom, this is our section where we talk about something in the news. It might be topical, it might be serious or not, and this week, as we start the February half-term holidays, we are going to talk about taking kids out of school for a skiing holiday. We don't need to worry about this week, Rob. Well, no, true. I mean, it's February half-term week, but the cost is obviously very high. First world problems and all that, but, let's put things into perspective, right? Most people take holidays. I think most people do. Somehow skiing holidays are often seen as this elitist thing because they generally cost more than sitting on a beach for a week, right? Yeah. Not helped by the fact that the season being, it's the main time to take kids for a super short break and half term, and we only get that window to go skiing. Exactly. And I fully blame the government. They should look at staggering school holidays, in my opinion, like they do in France. Because it's the flights that cost a huge amount and those peak season dates. it just prices most people out. You know, even people that can afford normal ski holidays are priced out.
And is there a case for allocating days off for kids away from school holidays?
I mean, maybe. I think certainly for younger kids. Our kids right now are exam year, and it is a tricky one. I mean, taking a 10-year-old out of school for a week to experience a foreign country, in my opinion, that is a valuable life lesson. And I know many people will disagree, and I understand the challenges as well. I'm going to have to caveat that a little bit, but we're having a bit of a debate here, right?
I'm definitely on your side here, Rob. The value they get from trips away, and if you can't afford it during those peak dates, to be able to get them away, maybe not for extended periods of time and missing lots of school, but you can manage these things. Is there a case for shortening the summer holidays and extending others? It seems like it favours the teachers, not the parents and the kids. Yeah,
I agree with that as well. I will add, obviously, for some people that can afford even not in school holidays to take the kids out, there'll be a lot of people at schools that just won't be able to do that. I understand the balances. It's not an easy one. It does seem like old school thinking. The world has changed, but it seems like that sort of educational, established holiday time hasn't. Anyway, I spotted this article recently in the Telegraph about skiing out of school holidays. It did get some comments. What is it with skiing holidays? I bet these people that commented fly off to the Maldives or wherever. I don't think about it for a second, but mention you're off skiing, and suddenly you're evil or something, or vilified for it.
And then people blame the tour ops as well.
Exactly, they do.
When actually would they much rather have a business model that is spread out across the season? They didn't have to spike prices. It's literally the only way they can survive. If they didn't do that, we just wouldn't have tour operators at all that would take people on holidays,
Exactly. So coming back to my original point, let's blame the government, right?
Definitely.
If anyone from the government would like to come onto the Whiteout Ski podcast to explain why it's only the super rich that can afford to take their kids on skiing holidays because of their policies, then we'd be delighted to hear from you. Right?
It probably isn't quite as simple as that, I would guess.
No, I know it's not. I know. I get that. But still, the discussion, would be a fun one, right? Well, serious one as well. But, probably a needed discussion. So let's take a look at some of the comments that's been left on this Telegraph article, written by our good journalist friend Rebecca Miles, I would say, and titled, "We'd rather be fined than miss our term time ski holiday."
Oh, wow.
Yippee to that, I say.
Well, here's the first comment from William Gibson. It says, Border Force should collect the passports at check-in and deny illegally absent children permission to board the train, plane or ferry. Wow.
Brilliant.
That's quite serious.
So that sounds like East Berlin in the 1960s, William. But whatever, that's okay. Holly Kettering said, "Look on the bright side. Making room for all those kids that have fallen victim to Rachel from accounts."
Oh, I think she's referring to the fact there's a clear out in state schools from the ex-private school. Kids now are telling them, still taking them skiing.
Yeah, I think that's right. Right, here's another comment from Nigel Redhead, who clearly thinks parents are criminals. The man he refers to as a parent in the article that was actually featured in the article. And Nigel says, maybe some people without kids specifically go skiing in term time so they don't have noisy, badly behaved kids around. Much as he loves his kids, other people like some activities without his kids or other people's. The school fine should be large, maybe £1,000 for each child. And then Pete Nossid, I think that's how you'd say his name, simply replies with the comment, fascist. Which I completely agree with.
Then Clive Dudley says, quoting the article with the words, "We'd rather be fined than miss our third time sea holiday," and then commenting, "No, you'd rather indulge yourselves than bother about your children's education. Selfish is the word for you."
I wonder if Clive's got children. And
Probably not.
Perhaps the comment that seems on the face of it to be fair, but is actually just not really that accurate. So S Field, we don't know S Field's first name, says, "If you can afford a skiing holiday and all the gear that goes with it, you can afford to take them during school holidays."
There we have it. Back to the elitism.
It's missing the point. I mean, it's like saying, well, if you can afford an overseas holiday, then surely you can go to the 5-star hotel in the Maldives, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's well over 250 comments on this article, and many are very strongly in favour of fines and increasing fines. Some people genuinely saying the kids should be expelled from the school if they are taken out of term time. I think the problem is the system, right? Not the parents. Maybe let's end with a comment from Andrea Jones, who says, "I bet these entitled parents expect teachers to help their kids catch up on what they miss while on holiday, regardless of the extra demands on their time, skiing is not a human right. And then a Telegraph reader, clearly doesn't want to give their name, replied to Andrea Jones and said, skiing should be a human right. It's great fun. There you go.
Surely skiing is a human right, isn't it?
Well,
everybody can ski.
I think it's an interesting point, Dom. Skiing is a human right. There is snow on the mountains. As human beings, we have a right to be on those mountains. And if we want to stick long wooden planks on our feet and go down them at height, why is that any different from having a right to walk up the mountain?
Well, interesting that, Rob. I'm trying to think if I've ever taken my daughter out of school to go skiing. I'll probably reserve my comment on that based on some of the comments we've just heard.
Fair enough. I wouldn't have a go at you if you did. I honestly don't think I have. I think I've always tried to stick to the school holidays where I can. They may have been a day or two.
If anybody wants to find out anything about that, they can go to telegraph.co.uk/travel ski news term time ski holidays. It'd be an interesting read if you want to. On to our goggle competition next. We've got an exciting opportunity to win a pair of POC Vitria goggles. Game changer for your Alpine adventures, valued at £220. These goggles are all about crystal clear optics, anti-fog technology and all-round day comfort. Designed to give you the sharpest vision, whether you're carving through powder or racing down those steep descents, the POC Vitria goggles have you covered. If you want to enter, head over to the link in the show notes, pop in your details and you're in. Don't wait too long. Entries close 9th of March. Another easy way to enter is just to head to @inthesnow_magazine on Instagram and follow us. Remember, sharing is caring. Tell your mates so they can get in on the action too. You don't want to miss out on this chance to win your new pair of goggles, so make sure you go over and enter that competition.
Nice. Sounds
so
great.
That's it, Rob.
Fantastic.
Nice pair. Yeah, nice.
POC goggles, really good. Great brand.
So now it's time for our Where's Best to Ski. Now, let's face it, Rob, we both know there's nothing quite like the topic of snow to get us excited. After all, that's what we're paid to talk about, right?
Yep.
So let's get stuck in and find out where the best snow is right now. Great to see the snowy conditions, and what a great season it's been. Where have you been, Rob?
Yeah, quite a few places ticked off the list so far, Dom, including Three Valleys, Teen, Crans-Montana, La Clusaz and Port de Soleil, not to mention Turkey. Lucky enough, I got some powder turns in Turkey, but also at the ski test in La Clusaz with you, Dom. Brilliant couple of days. Proper powder conditions there.
Fantastic.
What about you, Dom?
Just returned from Saas-Fee, obviously La Clusaz, outdoors just prior to Christmas.
Yep.
We've just had some fantastic conditions. Off to Cervinia shortly and
Nice.
Cape Smoky, then Aspen. So plenty of gas in the tank. Everywhere I've been has been great. Even in Saas-Fee, we had beautiful sunshine, and then on the last day it started snowing again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
Decent season. You mentioned Cape Smoky there, Dom. I'm heading out there with you. That is in Nova Scotia, for people that don't know that. And I've been keeping an eye on the weather in Nova Scotia. It's generally about -8 to -10 and snowing. So I think we're going to get some powder out there as well. Let's delve deeper into the current snow conditions across key skiing regions, focusing on the Alps first and then highlighting some resorts with the best snows. Recent weather patterns have brought significant snowfall to various parts of the Alps, really helping conditions across many resorts. The French Alps have benefited from recent snowfalls, leading to excellent conditions. Val d'Isère, Teen of high altitude, reporting substantial snow depths now, with pretty much all of their terrain opened. Well-groomed runs, some good off-piste still to be found. In Switzerland, resorts such as Zermatt, significant snowfalls there recently, resulting in excellent conditions. You know, they've got good snow bases. It's the same across the other side of the valley in Crans-Montana as well. Really good, above 1,500 metres. Great skiing. In Austria, I've just been watching the Alpine Skiing World Championships this morning. They've had some lovely fresh snow over the last 24 hours. Anton as well from on the the western side of Austria, all the way across through Innsbruck as well. And I'm in Mutteralm on Monday, and I expect to see some fresh snow there. And in Italy, Italian resorts such as Cervinia, which you've mentioned, experience very good conditions. Recent snowfalls as well. Great base. Shaping up to be a good season. And then if we look at Scandinavia, Norway, resorts such as Hemsedal, they've got good snow conditions over there. Consistent low temperatures in Scandinavia. Forecast indicates more cold weather. I think the slopes will be in excellent shape through the holiday period, probably right through until Easter. Nice. And the Pyrenees are doing pretty well too. Bakira in Spain, they've had good snow as well over the last few weeks.
Very good.
It's generally a pretty decent situation across Europe right now.
Thinking about North America and Japan, North America and the US, resorts in the Pacific Northwest like Whistler in Canada, they're anticipating significant snowfall in the coming days, which will greatly enhance ski conditions there. Looks great in Utah, Montana right now. Japan, Niseko continues to experience regular big snowfalls, maintaining its reputation for those fantastic powder conditions there. Forecast suggests continued snow showers, ensuring that slopes remain in prime condition. Seen some great pictures coming out of Japan. They're back to their former position of Japal, whereas obviously last season they didn't have such a good season. So yeah, looks like pretty good stuff.
Japan's really getting it, isn't it? If people remember Konrad Bartelski, the famous downhill ski racer, British, of course.
Yeah,
he's in Japan at the moment, and I follow his feeds on social media, and there's some pretty amazing pictures coming of Japan right now from Konrad, who is a very, very good photographer.
Absolutely.
So that's that. Yeah, I mean, again, it's worth checking out avalanche forecasts as well, with fresh snow conditions especially. And again, I'm just going to mention Cape Smoky, Dom, because I'm getting quite excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very exciting. Both heading there at the end of the month, Rob. It looks like they've got a bunch of snow coming. I mean, this place is going to be like the Wild West, isn't it? I'm told that this landscape is supposed to be absolutely incredible. So, yeah, Nova Scotia in Canada, very exciting.
We did have a Cape Smoky special earlier this season on the podcast for people that want to know a little bit more about this place. It is in Nova Scotia, which is Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely search for that podcast. I'll put the episode number in the podcast notes. I wonder what the snow is like right there. I mean, it looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, apparently there's about 1.5 meters of snow there at the moment. There's a lot in the forecast for this coming week, like a lot. So, I mean, it might, by the time we arrive, temperatures seem to be hanging around -5 to -10 degrees centigrade.
Wow. Great to hear that we're going surfing while we're there as well, then.
Yes. Oh, God, no. Memories of that time you maybe dive into that frozen lake in Crom, Montana, actually.
You loved it. You went for it.
No, I didn't, actually. It did clear my hangover up. So maybe that's what the surfing's designed to do off the Atlantic coast of Nova Scotia in -10 degrees.
Very exciting stuff. Watch out for that, because we'll be talking about Cape Smoky when we get back.
Light's gone. I'm going to change these lenses, people.
So next up is our gear guide. Whether you're looking to upgrade your kit or just nosing around for the latest trends, we've got you sorted here. From skis and boots to jackets and gadgets, we aim to cover everything you need to stay fully stylish and fully kitted out on the slopes. That's our aim, Rob.
Yep. Definitely. We're diving into a crucial part of our ski gear today. It's technical outerwear, jackets and trousers, waterproofing, breathability. What do these ratings really mean, and what you should be looking for?
Because outerwear isn't just about looking the part. It's what keeps you warm, dry, comfortable when you're out there in those elements. We are putting these things to the test. If we end up in Nova Scotia and it's -10 and it's snowing, this gear is going to be put to its test. We've been testing different kit recently. We'll get into the details, including a mention of Helly Hansen, since we've been putting some of their gear through its paces. But let's think about materials and construction of this gear.
Okay, let's start with the materials. Most ski jackets and trousers use waterproof membranes, and the most well-known is Gore-Tex. It's designed to keep water out while allowing moisture from your body, like sweat basically, to escape. And there's loads of other membranes out there as well. Dermazax is one that comes to mind. They're all doing similar jobs with slight differences in performance and the way they're made.
Yeah. And then you've got the choice between soft shell and hard shell. Soft shells are more flexible, quieter material and great for breathability, but it's not as waterproof as a hard shell. Hard shells, on the other hand, give you that full weather protection, but can feel a bit more stiff and rigid.
Right, exactly. And then within that, you've also got insulated jackets and shell jackets, and the same with trousers or salopettes or pants. Insulated ones keep you warm without needing too many extra layers, but the shells give you more flexibility to layer up depending on the conditions. Personally speaking, if I'm going to a very cold environment, I'm going to take an insulated jacket with me unless I'm ski touring. But if it's a normal kind of Alps temperature, then normally a shell with a good layering system is perfectly adequate. Yeah.
So let's think about the waterproofing and weather protection.
So it's where numbers start getting thrown around. These waterproof ratings, you'll see things like 10,000 millimeters, 20,000 millimeters, even 30,000 millimeters. That number is a water column rating. Not all brands use them, but a lot do. It measures how much water the fabric can withstand before it starts to leak, basically.
Yeah. So basically, if you've got 10,000 mil, that's good for light snowfall, 20,000 mil for heavier snowfall and rain. Anything above that, serious protection. But waterproofing isn't just about that fabric. Seam sealing super important as well. So you want fully taped seams, stop water getting in through the stitching. And then there's DWR, durable water repellent, which keeps water beading off the fabric.
We've been testing Helly Hansen's outerwear recently, and they use their own waterproof tech called Helitech.
Yep.
It stacks up really well against Gore-Tex, in my opinion. Maybe other people might disagree. In those real-world conditions, it's been performing really well in wet snow, mixed conditions as well. So I think we should mention those guys. We have been extensively testing their kit in all sorts of weather conditions recently. Must say, and I honestly mean this, and I'll just add it, it's
been excellent.
Yeah, been really good.
Yeah. And of course, within Gore-Tex itself, there's like there's bronze, silver, and gold level of Gore-Tex as well. And so it's important to be looking at those extra layers of deciding, how far do you want to go, how much do you want to be spending on this.
Absolutely.
So the other thing is breathability and comfort, of course. So waterproofing is great. If your jacket doesn't breathe, you'll be soaked from the inside out. Breathability is measured in grams per square meter over 24 hours. So something rated at 10,000 grams per square meter lets the amount of moisture escape. The higher the number, the better the breathability. So, you'll usually see on a garment label inside or on the tag that's hanging on it, it'll say something like 10,000, 10,000 or 10,000, 20,000, whatever it might be. Higher the numbers, probably the more expensive the jacket is. But the more robust it'll be in terms of waterproofing and breathability.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting very technical now, and I think I probably need somebody from the production department, the brand department, to really go into this. But from what I understand, like if it's a 30,000 waterproofing jacket, to make that as breathable as a lighter weight one, as a 10,000 or 20,000 is, it's that's where that's and that's why it costs more. And also ventilation zips as well, are always very handy. You've got armpit zips on jackets, you've got thigh vents on trousers. If you're skiing hard or if you're touring and you want to get rid of that excess heat quickly, those zips are really important.
In Sarsfay yesterday, it was only a little short hike, about 5 kilometers. Started to heat up. I literally just whipped those zips down. They went from my hips down almost to my knees, and it was instant cooling. Right. Very worthwhile looking at that. Pit zips or hip zips can be very, very handy. And even the best waterproofing. So if you're overheating and sweating inside the jacket, whatever waterproofing you've got isn't going to help you, because if you've got the wet inside, you need the breathability to get it out. It's very important indeed. So what about fit and features, Rob?
Yeah, fit is another thing to really consider. That sort of regular fit is your standard all-mountain shape. And then you've got athletic fit, which is a slimmer, sort of more performance-orientated. And then you've got the baggier sort of free-ride fits as well. A bit more room for layering and movement. Yeah.
And then in terms of features, you've got to think about powder skirts. They're the things that do up around your waist inside your jacket if you're skiing through deeper snow or you're at risk of falling and you don't want the snow to ride up your jacket. You've got wrist gaiters, the same sort of thing, that if it's snowing hard and your hands pointing in the wrong direction, the snow goes up your sleeve, you want to stop that, or if you're going to fall over, it helps protect that. You've got Reco reflectors that help with search and rescue if things go wrong in the backcountry or even anywhere on the mountain. So worthwhile looking for features like these.
Yeah. Pockets, it's an obvious one, but it's a thing that some people overlook. If you're carrying stuff around with you, you might not have a backpack. Pockets are really important. And of course, having that lift pass pocket on the left hand sleeve by your hand is really really good as well.
Yeah, so, for things like carrying a spare lens or bobble hat, a second lens, a drinks bottle, all those things you might want those extra pockets for. So it's definitely worth looking out for.
Yep, right.
So final thoughts and a bit of a wrap up. What's worth spending money on and what's just marketing hype, Rob?
Yeah, well, waterproofing and breathability are obviously worth investing in. If it's snowing and you get wet, it's just not great. Clothing these days is so good, you just don't have to experience that when you're skiing. And we know what it's like. Most of the time, the weather's actually pretty okay, right? I mean, people think that it's going to be snowing all the time, and it just isn't, right? Yeah. But sometimes it does. And sometimes it might get cold. It's not always that cold, right? But sometimes it can be. So you need to be prepared. Invest in that waterproof.
And even thinking about people who have just got a simple resort jacket that's an insulated jacket, if it's got a bit of space, you can still layer up underneath those. You can still put a mid-layer or a mini micro-down puffer jacket underneath an insulated jacket. If it really did drop very, very cold when you're away, just layering up underneath.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people aren't skiing as often as we are. They might just go once a year. They don't want to spend £700, £800, £900 on a jacket.
Right.
Just one jacket and then have to layer underneath it. So they've got their resort jacket that cost them a couple of £100.
Yeah.
It's a great jacket. There's absolutely no harm in layering up underneath if it gets super cold as well. So don't forget, it's not just about the high numbers. Even down to sort of 10,000 will be fine for the majority of people, unless you're going to be caught out in a big snowstorm or it's snowing very heavily when you're in resort, which is what we all hope for, of course.
I think you're absolutely right. And the vast majority of time it is snowing, not raining, fortunately, when we go skiing. Snow brushes off the jacket. In the rare times where you might get rain in a ski resort, maybe at the end of the season, for example, you don't need to go out in it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's it for this week's gear segment. Let us know what you're looking for in ski outerwear. Drop us a message, get in touch on social media, or drop us a line. We will be back soon with more ski equipment talk.
Yeah, and it'd be good to hear what sort of equipment you're using, what sort of jackets you like, anything that you've enjoyed particularly recently, or any recent purchases you've made.
Absolutely.
What have we got next?
Well, I think we're going to hear from Ed Drake, host of the Ski Racing Podcast. He's a former professional ski racer. He knows the sport inside out. He's going to be giving us his latest updates, sharing his expert insights, and breaking down all the action from the world of ski racing. Ed, how's it going?
Let's welcome Ed Drake. What have you got to say for yourself, Ed?
Hey, Tom. Hey, Rob. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me back. We have had an epic couple of weeks racing. The women raced over in Cortina d'Ampezzo on the Olympic track that will be there for 2026 next winter. And Federica Brignoni picked up her first ever downhill World Cup victory, which was very, very impressive. Lindsey Vonn, unfortunately, back to her crashing ways. Had a crash, thankfully was okay. She was able to walk away from it. Then the women raced in Kronplatz, a giant slalom. That was very good. Nothing too out of the ordinary there, apart from Alice Robinson picked up her first win of the season. Then over to Garmisch-Partenkirchen, where the women were racing. Again, it was a bit wet, and again, Lindsey Vonn crashed. But again, Lindsey Vonn got away with it and ended up not having any injuries. And then that sort of brings us towards the World Championships on the women's side. Men's side, it's been the classics, hasn't it? Wengen was very, very good. And the Swiss fans are always in good spirits as you're in Wengen. Great racing, great competition. Then it was Kitzbühel. And Marco Odermatt picked up a victory on the Strife, but it wasn't the one he wanted. He's been desperate to pick up the downhill victory there, calling him a victor in the downhill. But it was a Super G win, so he'll take that. He's got his name against a gondola in Kitzbühel, but not the one he wanted. The second day of the 2 days of speed racing was epic. The downhill day was exceptional. Alexander Cameron back on the podium for the second time this season. Really good from him. Alexis Monet came so close to doing the Bormio and Kitzbühel double this season, but it was not to be for him because the man at the top was Jack Crawford. Jack Crawford. His name's James Crawford. Everyone calls him Jack Crawford. But Crawford, either way, went very, very well. Picked up his first ever World Cup victory, and to do it on the Han and Kern weekend was something very, very special indeed. They partied long into the night in the Londoner. Looked like some great scenes. I think they had about hangover for about a week. The slalom skiers on Sunday went okay. Again, it was wet on Sunday, not the easiest of conditions. The two Brits of Billy and Dave got themselves onto the second run, and they went pretty well. It was okay, not the fireworks that we were hoping and have had historically at Kitzbühel, but nonetheless a good couple of days racing. And then it was on to Schladming for the night giant slalom now and the night slalom. The GS went okay. Again, it was wet, lots of rain. The organisers did a great job to get some salt into the hill and make sure that we could get a race away. Nothing too crazy there. Odermatt didn't manage to pick up the victory. That's probably the part that was maybe the most interesting. But then the night slalom, just the other night, was an epic bit of racing. A bit of needle, actually. It was it was the German, his name will come to me eventually, Linus Strasser, there we go, got it in the end, picked up the first run lead, and his coaches set the second run, and his coaches set something which Linus was not very happy about at all. Gave a really spiky interview at the bottom, saying he didn't know what his coaches were doing, why his coaches had set the way they had, because it was never going to suit him, never going to fall into his strengths. And he went from first down to fourth. The day belonged to Tim and Hauger, picking up his second slalom victory of the season. Dave, Laurie and Billy all making it onto the second run. Great to see the three Queensmen picking up some good results on the last stop before the World Championships. The World Championships start on the 4th of February over in Saalbach, and we've got a big old team. Not just the stars that we normally see on the World Cup Tour, but we are giving some of the youngsters, some of the newcomers who go into the World Champs to hopefully give themselves a bit of a platform, help them understand what it's like going to a major championship, so when they really get into their sort of core years as a World Cup ski racers, hopefully they will have a bit of big game experience underneath your belt. We'll be going into more detail on the Ski Racing podcast later throughout this week and into the weekend. It should be out next Monday. So until then, Dom, Rob, I'll hand it back to you. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Ed. You know, it's so exciting at the moment in the world of ski racing. The Alpine Skiing World Championships in Saalbach have been absolutely fantastic. Well done to Saalbach. Looking forward to, of course, in 2 years' time, the same event in Crom, Montana. They are gearing up for that in 2 years and 2027. But of course, in between that, we've got Milan, Cortina, Winter Olympic Games to look forward to as well. So exciting right now.
Very good. Thanks very much, Ed, from the Ski Racing Podcast. Anybody who wants more details, then you can join those race pundits.
This seems a bit steep for a blue.
So next up is our destination of the week, where we managed to catch up with Vanessa Fischer, who is an expert in all things Les Menuires in the Three Valleys. It was great to hear about Les Menuires and get the inside track on some things. We had some searching questions for her, didn't we?
Yes.
Let's have a listen to when we spoke to Vanessa this week. Because it's many years since I've been to this place. We've brought in an absolute expert on Les Menuires. Vanessa Fischer, how are you?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm
Vanessa.
all good, thank you.
Do you mind being called an expert on Les Menuires?
Well, I have skied there quite a lot and do some work for them as well. So I do feel like if you need a person that knows a resort, maybe I'm the best person.
You're definitely the best person. Well, just for our listeners' sake, Les Menuires is part of the Three Valleys. And we know that it's that one that's sort of in the middle of the Three Valleys, got great access points and everything else. I just thought I'd say to you, Vanessa, like, I've been there. How do you think it compares with those neighbours of Courchevel and Val Thorens that we know so well? How would you describe it to our listeners?
So the joy about Les Menuires is it sits in such a great location within that massive ski area. And you can very quickly get from the base village up to Maribel on one side, up to Val Thorens above. You can link down to Saint-Martin to Belleville. So it's just a really great place to access that enormous Three Valleys ski area. That's what I'd say is its real bonus in terms of its location.
And I mean, it's just one of those resorts that does offer good value for money as well.
Yes, if you're comparing it with Courchevel, which tends to have that slightly glitzier reputation, more five-star hotels, in Les Menuires, you can find a better value kind of base price to have your week's holiday or even just a few days.
Right. So I've got an admission to make that I have skied in Les Menuires several times, but I've never actually stayed in Les Menuires itself. I'm really sorry about that. I know about some of the skiing, but I don't know what else Les Menuires has to offer when you're off the slopes.
One of the things with Les Menuires is it's almost divided into little sections. The original snowfront is what they call the Croisette sector. And then there's another sector, for example, called Rebety, where some of the more recent chalets have been built. And then slightly lower down, there's another sector at Après, where there's some more recent development. So it's almost like you need to choose where you want to be based. And then, you know, they're all connected either by skiing or by a free little shuttle bus. But I think that's one of the points is that it's not just one tiny little village. It's made up of these 5 sectors. And so depending on whether you're with a group of friends or with a family, you would then decide which area you would prefer to be based in.
And they have their own unique sort of style about them, or kind of atmosphere.
Exactly that. Yeah. So if you're staying, for example, in Rebety, there's some gorgeous chalets. There aren't many bars, but there's a couple of nice restaurants where, well, probably if you're in a chalet, you'd have most of your food. If you're with a group of friends, you probably prefer to be down in Croisette, where there's a few more bars. And it's not like Val Thorens, where you've got a lot of nightclubs and a lot of bars. It definitely has a slightly more chilled.
Yeah.
There are some nice bars, but it hasn't got that really wild Après vibe.
Right.
I remember staying there in a beautiful sort of chocolate box chalet, and we were able to open our patio doors and ski straight out of the back doors of the bedroom, which was amazing.
Exactly.
It had a couple of small restaurants and bars that were really nice, that you could just have your own bit of Après in at the end of the day. So actually, I really enjoyed staying there.
It's a resort that is definitely one of those Marmite places. Some people hate the kind of 70s apartment-style buildings. There's the very famous Bralin, which is the sort of ship-style building which overlooks the front of Croisette.
I think it's. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I've written about that building because I've been there, but it's amazing. I do really like it. It's got character. It's got a lot.
And once you understand the concept when they were built, same view, the same balcony overlooking the snow. Historically, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
And now they're encouraging the owners of those apartments to do them up so that they are maintained well. Within that building, it has its own bar, ski rental, supermarket. So you can be very self-contained if you're in one of those units.
Right. Yeah, which is great. When I've stayed in Les Menuires a couple of times, I really did feel like I was in the centre of the 3 valleys. It did give me that feeling that I had great access and that we skied down to our own little enclave at the end of the day. And it's definitely set its stall out as being, they call themselves friendly Les Menuires, don't they? That whole sort of family feel about it. It is for sure a good choice for families, isn't it? I mean, how do you feel? I mean, do you feel that's well positioned?
Definitely. I mean, I think it was last season they opened up a specific slope for beginners. So if you are a family taking young children, that slope is not going to be packed full of people chasing back down to Resort Village. It's a safe space for younger children, for beginner skiers. All the pistes are very easy in terms of, coming back to base, whether you're based in that little chalet area or down at Croisette or lower down. The surrounding runs are all green runs or blue runs, easy for families to get back to basic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what about obviously different skier levels? I mean, it's the 3 valleys. You've got skiing for everyone across the 3 valleys. But in Les Menuires specifically, what kind of things might you expect if you stay within the Les Menuires ski area and you're maybe an intermediate skier or an expert?
Yes, I would say 2 of the really key points are the sector where you can go up to La Masse, which a few years ago they put a much faster bubble lift, and it takes you to the sort of right-hand side of the valley. And from the top of there, you get the most incredible views across the Alps. And then from the top, you can choose either a sweeping blue run all the way down the outside or steeper red runs down the middle. There's even an extra little pommer lift, which takes you to a little black area. Everybody can get up to the top. And then there's skiing for all abilities kind of coming all the way down.
Okay. Yeah.
And then a couple of great little restaurants to stop if you want to, either at the top or partway down.
Yeah.
And then within the same ski area, you've got the pistes that run all the way down to Saint-Martin de Belleville. And one of the really famous runs is called Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And it often comes up in the top 10 runs in the world. And it is just incredible. It's a blue run that twists. It has little rollers. When my kids were younger, they just wanted to do that run again and again. It just has all the fun jumps, sweeping turns, and again, 2 or 3 gorgeous little restaurants off the side, so you can pit stop halfway down, have a hot chocolate, grab some snacks.
Nice.
I took my daughter down that run last winter. It is an absolutely fantastic ski run, and we had a little sandwich at the bottom when you get to Saint Martin, just a simple sandwich from the shop, and then back up again. But it's a proper adventure run as well, isn't it? So nice.
It's a real adventure. And again, you can either stop at the snack bars Or at the top is the restaurant Maya, which is quite chic and more luxurious. On the way down, you've got the little kind of more local, smaller restaurants where you can just dive in for a lighter bite. Or just tick all the boxes if you wanted one run that would tick those boxes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a question we often ask people. We're currently doing a 4-part mini-series with Crystal Ski Holidays about people who are just starting to ski, their very first ski holiday. Last week, we were talking about how people can prepare for that first ski holiday. Certainly, Les Menuires is somewhere that, for me, I think about when I took my children there when they were very, very young, still sleeping in bunk beds. They wouldn't fit in those now. But it really did tick those boxes in terms of that progressive skiing, right from that very early stages of getting their snowplow right, starting to link their turns, right up to those more progressive runs. And obviously then you get into the expanse of the Three Valleys, where for those people who want to charge around dozens of kilometres a piece for a week, they can do that. And that's the great thing, isn't it? You have that smaller area, but you can get up into the big area if you want to.
Totally. And you can make it a little adventure outing, as you say. So Maribel as your little mission. So go from Les Menuires up and over. And then the next stage, you might want to tack on right over to Courchevel and all the way back, or up to Val Thorens, over to Orel and all the way back. Actually, the last time I was there, we did all the areas in one day, and it was such a great adventure.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And like you say, adventure's the true thing, because I think for the kids to be able to say, we're going to ski to a different resort for lunch today, that's a true sort of feeling of, wow, we're really a company. We're not just skiing around for fun here. We're actually having fun, but we're going to a destination as well, which is great.
Exactly. And then the families, I think the family ski pass is 8 or 9% cheaper this season than it was last season. So, that's attractive if you're a unit. And you don't have to be 2 adults, 2 children. You can make it up with 1 adult, 3 children, or 2 adults, 1 child, whatever your format is.
Nice.
Which is a great offer.
Okay.
What about the Après? How would you say, I mean, because it is a few years since I've been there, would you say it's seen as a bit of a party town, or has it got that more relaxed vibe when it comes to Après?
Definitely more relaxed. Jack's opened a bar in Les Menuires last season, which is the famous bar from Maribel. And then there's a handful of bars around the sort of Snowfront, Le Comptoir as well. But it isn't a party town. There's a Folie Douce above at Val Thorens, so you can have a few drinks there and make your way back.
Yeah.
Can you ski back from that, or do you need ski lifts to connect back?
You still need ski lifts. So you can have like a lunch and a few drinks, and then you'd have to get the lifts, but you can't stay there till later in the day.
And what about, give us a little bit of an insider tip when you visit those peak season weeks. How do you handle that? How busy does it get? And maybe there's a few little hacks that you know about. So if anyone's going at the school holiday time, they can maximize their skiing.
Yeah, I mean, when it's busy, isn't it? But you can do things such as they offer first tracks, which is where you go up for the first lift to the top of La Masse.
Oh, wow.
And obviously you're getting ahead of the main rush. Also go out early in the morning. A lot of skiers don't get going till sort of 10, and then you're going to hit those peak times. But I think the lift system does cope pretty well. There are lots of, from the main resort itself, there's 4 or 5 different options to get up in different directions. So I would say all those things, the tips that people know: go out early, either stop early for lunch or a bit later for lunch to miss those peak moments.
I think what you said,
because it's such a huge area, you can get out before those.
It sucks it up. The lift system sucks it up, doesn't it? I mean, it's a massive system. Yeah.
And then where there is a small queue, because they're modern lifts, the flow is fast through any small queues that form at those peak times.
Yeah. It's where these big resort areas really gain, isn't it? That fast lift system that's scooping people up. So whilst you might look at a lift line and think, wow, there's a few people there, it vanishes so quickly. It's like sand running through a sieve, isn't it? They just disappear very quickly.
I mean, I can't remember. I think the new lift, the flow of skiers is almost double what it was before.
Incredible. Yeah. So you've probably already answered this one, Vanessa, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you could only ski one run, we already know which one that would be.
Well, Jerusalem itself, it's questionable whether it's in Les Menuires, because you have to get to it from the top of Saint-Martin. I would probably choose that one if I could get to it, or from the top of La Masse. I mean, for the views and the length of the descent down, it's fantastic.
Beautiful.
We've talked about the architecture and that sort of thing, but are there the common misconceptions about Les Menuires? Some people might have a view or an opinion about it.
As we mentioned before, love it or hate it in terms of design, because it doesn't look like a little Austrian style alpine village. It was built as part of the Plan Neige in the 70s. You have to see that as a benefit in terms of fast access onto the slope, everything ski in, ski out, whichever sector you're in, you're very quick out of your door onto the mountain. The misconception is that it's very ugly.
Right.
But actually, if you turn that into a positive, those buildings were designed for a purpose to give you the best views of the slopes and the best access to the slopes. Then I think it definitely ticks that sort of high altitude snowshore box.
I genuinely quite like the architecture. I enjoy that sort of architecture. And actually, when you know the stories behind it, I don't know why, but it changes your perception of that architecture and why it looks like it does.
Agree, but you have to sort of understand again, don't you, why it was built in that way.
Yeah.
A little museum in the village of Saint-Martin where they go through the history of how both Saint-Martin and Les Menuires was developed.
Right.
See, Saint-Martin has that more traditional village vibe.
Yeah.
It was only connected to the Three Valleys in the 80s. It's fascinating to learn how these resorts were
Definitely.
Originally Val Thorens, they were built at such high altitudes and made skiing in those mountains really accessible to everyone.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And in terms of that, talking about accessible to everyone, I mean, the Three Valleys isn't generally known as the cheapest place to go skiing, but actually, for me, it was one of the reasons I went there to watch the pennies a bit more by going to Les Menuires. Is that the way you feel?
Yeah, because it's got a lot of apartments. You can find a good value apartment to stay in. Obviously, ski pass cost with those family reductions brings it down a little bit. And then if you look at the scope of the terrain, price per kilometre is very good value. All around the mountain, there's often the main restaurant, but just below or to the side, there's little snack bars. So actually, if you don't want to be spending a lot of money on long lunches, you can grab a snack and keep the cost down. Or even, especially in the sort of coming spring, take a picnic.
Yeah.
Sit on the mountain. Yeah. There's little picnic areas as well where you can stop. You can keep the costs down and still have a fantastic ski holiday.
Yeah.
And the one other thing I was thinking about is also when you arrive to Les Menuires, the road up from Moutier is one of the quickest access points from the Tarentaise Valley. So quite a lot of the other big French name resorts are quite further up the valley. If you're driving from the UK or even from an airport or coming by train, Moutier is below Bourg Saint-Maurice, so it has a quicker access to the mountain.
Okay, Vanessa, if you had to sum up Les Menuires in 3 words, what would they be?
Snowshore.
Snowshore, I like that one. It's one of my buzzwords.
Can I add an extra word to it?
Is that one?
You could say amazingly snowshore.
That's very clever, Vanessa. I like that.
Welcoming and something for everyone.
Okay, we'll take that. It's welcoming and something for everyone. I think you're probably right. It's probably the way I would feel about it, actually. Rob, you need to get there. This is a place you need to be visiting.
Well, like I said, I've definitely skied in Les Menuires, and I do genuinely like the architecture and the stories and the history behind it. Yeah, for sure. It sounds like I should be experiencing it in a different way.
Pleasure to organise for you.
That's fantastic to have you on today, Vanessa. Thank you very much for imparting your extensive knowledge about Les Menuires and the Three Valleys there. Definitely somewhere that's going to get back on my radar as a result of getting you on today, because it is quite some years. I think it's probably about 12 or 11 years since I've been there. But thank you very much indeed for joining us today. And we look forward to having you on the podcast again in the future.
Thanks very much.
So yeah, Les Menuires, Rob, stay in Reberty. That's my bit of advice, but I know everybody has their different things. I really enjoyed it there many years ago now.
Nice little spot. Nice spot for sure. So next, our desert island ski resort.
This week, we caught up with none other than Roisin Timpson, part of the Timpson family, the shoe repair company that we all know and love on the high street, and key cutters and dog lead tag manufacturers and goodness knows what else they do. So that's a high street chain where we've probably all got one in our local town, Timpson's, and that Timpson family that have taken on this fabulous building in Morzine, Rob. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, the Tromplon, right at the bottom of the Plenny Run, of course, and the gondola station there in Morzine. Fantastic location, fantastic spot. I've enjoyed many a cold drink after skiing or mountain biking over the years at Le Tromplon. I walked past it last week, and it is currently looking a bit like a construction site, but that's really exciting. Roisin tells us all about what is happening. One of our readers wrote in asking about the Tromplon in Morzine and how the current renovation project is being managed by UK high street brand Timpson. How do you get from being a cobbler to an owner of a smart hotel in the Alps? It's definitely a question I'd like to put to you, Roisin. How did it all start, and why Morzine?
Okay, well, there's a couple of questions in there, aren't there? So basically, we are known for being high street service retailers, which is the business we're really proud of. It's definitely our core business. But 20 years ago, it was my mother-in-law, Alex Timpson, who had a holiday home, and the pub came up for sale near her holiday home. She didn't cook, but had a huge amount of children all the time, foster children, people around all the time. So it seemed too good an opportunity not to take, to buy the pub so that she'd have somewhere to eat, so that she wouldn't have to cook. So that was about 20 years ago, and that was the White Eagle pub. It's in a very beautiful location, a holiday location by the sea, absolutely beautiful. I think it was meant to be a bit of a hobby, something that she could enjoy herself, but for various bits of good luck, it ended up being a really great place and very popular. Helped a little bit that Prince William was stationed quite nearby, and the press picked up.
Right.
That
So this is North Wales, just to be clear.
That's in North Wales.
Yes.
And Prince William and Kate were meant to be doing a lot of their dating there, which we never denied. I think they had been there, but it became sort of bigger than the sum of its parts, really, the White Eagle. And then we had another opportunity a couple of years later, I think in 2009, another site in another beautiful place called Roisin came up, a bit of a site of a lifetime. We got involved in that. My mother-in-law, Alex, and my husband by that point was involved. He was running the main business. And they basically copied Jamie Oliver's model of 15, which he had down in Cornwall, which really suited our sort of approach, sort of ethical capitalism and our approach to giving back in business. So that started on the idea of being a place, they called them cadets, to train disadvantaged young people into the hospitality industry. We did a huff house on that site. My husband always wanted to build a huff house. It felt quite eccentric, but actually we were really helped with a very, very forward-looking planner in Wales at the time who had the guts to say go for it. So it's this fairly incongruous but bold building in the middle of the sand dunes. I think we own, it's 50 acres of sand dunes and wet lake frontage at the back of the sea. We just keep it really simple and try and offer really good quality, warm hospitality. And luckily our customers seem to really like it. So our remit is just offering people fabulous hospitality, very family orientated.
So now we're looking at Morzine. How did you find the Tromplon in Morzine? And also another double question for you here, but how have you found the local response when you're there?
Yeah, interesting. We have had a connection with Morzine for a long time. We're a keen family of skiers. We're lucky enough to go once or twice a year from our kids being quite young. And we tried loads of different places over the years. We were like resort hoppers, but we ended up on recommendation, somebody saying, have you been to Morzine? And we booked. And then for the next year, the kids and everybody were like, well, let's just go back there. We had such a blast, can't not go back there. And then we realized that nobody seemed to want to go anywhere else.
Right.
Just because we just had, again, it was very compatible with our ethos, which is grounded, but good times, very sociable, quite easygoing, but high quality. It suited us. So we kept going back, ended up buying, it was meant to be a small apartment, ended up building a chalet.
Okay.
To bring back the question of how we found our sort of French and our Morzinois, it was actually the fact that we found them so brilliant that ended up meaning that we wanted to do something else. We enjoyed the team we built our chalet with. We became very good friends, and it was such a positive experience for us. So at the end of that, we were like, this place is really interesting. I think there's more that could happen here. Would love to do some more projects. Through a network of local friends, somebody came up and said, well, there is this site It's quite an interesting one. You might be interested. My first thought was that's the end of our holidays in Morzine, because it was a larger a project than we had in mind. To be absolutely honest, the people, the site, the whole thing sort of took on a life of its own. It's just too good. To answer your second bit, Sophie and Gilles, the previous owners of the site, we got on really well with them. We had a relationship of trust. They were an established family business. I think they liked the fact we were a family business with a long-term view on this development. We were really compatible, and there was a mutual respect from the start. They worked with us for a year to handhold and make sure we were all comfortable. It was in everyone's interests to make sure that we understood what we were doing and what we had, because it is different in the Alps. It's a very different proposition in many ways. We were very comfortable with that, but now we're on our own. And
Right.
so far, so good.
It's an amazing site. Congratulations for buying it. And that's obviously where you are right now. Like I mentioned before on the podcast, I skied past the Tremplin last week when I was skiing between Leger and Châtel. Oh, my goodness. Wow, there's something big going on here, really big going on here. So you mentioned the whole ethical side of your business before, and giving back. Timpson is really well known for this incredible program that employs former prisoners to work in the business. Is that something you might consider for Le Tremplin in Morzine as well?
Yeah, very keen to. But I think it's about being humble and working out a culture, because it is different. People have different expectations, I think, and a different awareness. We've been quite lucky in the UK that we've had quite a progressive view on this for the last 10, 15 years, with other employers being a little bit more proactive on that front. I think France, particularly rural France, has a little bit of catching up to do. So you have to be respectful and go at the right pace for people. But it's absolutely part of our DNA, and not just people from prison, but also other hard to reach or hard to employ areas. So whether that's ex-military or kids that have left care, it gets us very excited when we see those applications. If we feel we can give people a chance that aren't necessarily getting it elsewhere, that's all the better for us. But at the beginning, we have to be realistic, but it's very much part of what we want to do, yeah.
Brilliant, Ace. Obviously, I can see some big changes planned with what you're doing now. How are you planning to both improve the Tremplin but also keep that really nice vibe that I know it for? I'm sure a lot of other people know it for as well.
Yeah, it's a great question, because we basically inherited a set of plans. It's quite tricky to get planning through. We knew what we could work within in terms of the building. In terms of the reputation, we knew it was something really special. And I think for me, there were certain cornerstones that were no-brainers in terms of it being something for everybody. I was very frightened about doing an all singing or dancing refurb that suddenly means that certain people felt it might not be for them. And so what we've tried to do is very much keep the essence. The lifeblood of the Tremplin really, I think, is music.
Yes.
So that's something we've taken extremely seriously. You know, that's not an afterthought. That's absolutely
Cool.
running through the middle of what we're doing. So as far as I'm concerned, if you give people fantastic music, a well-priced offer, and they're in a beautiful environment,
yeah,
you know,
what could go wrong? Are you going to have live bands, DJs, all of that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And going at that more and more, and probably pulling some levers in terms of making that really fun and accessible, you know, rather than necessarily some of it had a little bit of a reputation, I think, for some quite kind of heavy, hardcore-y stuff, which I think we're very deliberately making it very accessible and a bit cheesy maybe sometimes, but that's fine. Love a bit of cheese.
Well, I like the sound of that. That sounds brilliant. Yeah, I mean, music is, you know, we know just like how music can get everybody going. And when you go to some places now on the Alps, whether it's live music or a really good DJ, it just brings it all together.
It does. I'm Irish, and I think we know how to, it's almost that wedding vibe, but it's doing that wedding vibe night after night and keeping that magic. I always say we have a lot of customers that is the week of the year for them. You've got to deliver every time. So I think for me, it's about consistency and finding really great local acts, but also somebody slightly out of the catchment to mix it up, making sure that every single time we deliver. And that's where I think we need to be heading.
I've been to a few Irish weddings over the years, and if you say to me that coming along to Le Tremplin is going to be like going to an Irish wedding, I'll be there every single time.
Me too.
Right, so what about some details about when are you opening, when it's going to be ready, where can we find out more information?
In terms of where you find out information, we have Amy from Morzine Source, who is a great advocate of ours, and we work closely with her. She is in charge of our social media and does an amazing job. We love what she does. She's like the font of all Morzine and Tromplan knowledge, which we're so grateful for.
Absolutely.
We also obviously have our website. We also have the Renardier Hotel, which we bought to put our team up. To basically, we want to have the best accommodation that we in the Alps. We're open at the moment in Camp Tromplan. Luckily, we're not offering any food. We offer for Après only. It's a stretch tent over a bar, and we're loving it. People are visiting us and loving the experience and giving us a really good taste of where we need to head going forward. We'll be closing for a few months, but then opening up again for the summer season, again outside. And then come November next year, we are hoping our interior spaces downstairs will be open. So that'll be a new tea bar, inside bar, a new restaurant inside and outside, and the terrace. And then the following year, so basically 2026, the rooms will be open.
Okay.
So we're doing a staggered opening.
Okay, fantastic. But if you're in Morzine right now, you can pop along in the afternoons after skiing or in the evenings for a drink.
Yeah. I think we're 3 till 7, depending on the weather. It's great. The vibes, people are loving it. And we've been blown away by how it's been received. We're delighted.
Fantastic. And one last question, Roisin. This is a question we always ask our guests on the Whiteout podcast. If you could ski just one resort in the world for the rest of your life, what one would it be? And I know you could say Morzine, but if it wasn't Morzine, what one would it be?
If it's well, my husband and I had our honeymoon in Deer Valley in Utah.
Nice. Ooh, lovely.
So I might have to go back there, but I wouldn't want to do that forever. So it's going to have to be Morzine. I mean, I can't give a different answer. It's going to be Morzine. I love the people. I love the town. I love the skiing, actually. I just love the place. So I'm sorry, I'm going to cheat. It's Morzine.
All right. I tell you what, I wouldn't normally allow that, but I'm going to give it to you because, I mean, let's face it, I think you deserve to say Morzine after everything you've done. Really nice speaking to Roisin. It's been really interesting. I am looking forward to making sure next time I walk past the Tromplan, I stop for a drink, rushing through Morzine as I was the other week. Yeah. It's going to be a really interesting project to keep our eyes on. So thanks very much. Good luck with it all. And anytime you want to give us some updates, just let us know. Brilliant.
Wonderful. Great to speak to you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Oh, that's great, Rob. I mean, super exciting. I mean, that building that's been in French ownership for goodness knows how many years, and now suddenly we've got this fabulous British family. They're going to turn this into something pretty spectacular by the sounds of it. Yeah. I was only there a couple of weeks ago, Rob, and I said to my daughter, I'm going to take you down for a little bit of Après in this lovely little bar, and then I arrived for construction sites.
Yeah, really exciting, Dom. Looking forward to going back. Well, I mean, it's still open. I didn't realise. I did rush past the other day. I was with a group, and I had to get across Morzine to the other side of town to the Super Morzine gondola. So we sort of rushed past, but it's still open. So next time, Roisin, I will stop for a drink.
I'll be there for the first Après, Rob. We'll do the first Après when Roisin opens this place fully with all the new bells and whistles. Right, well, that's it for this week. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in to another episode of the Whiteout Ski Podcast. We hope you're feeling excited and ready to take on your next ski trip like us. And if you like today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And do leave us a review. It's so helpful when you leave a review. We love it, good, bad, indifferent, preferably the good ones. It really helps us grow and ensures we can carry on bringing this fabulous free content. We love talking about skiing, Rob.
Well, we could talk about it all day, Dom, couldn't we? I'm going skiing on Monday. I'm heading out. February half-term holidays, here we come. Have been slightly tactical with my trip, booking a Monday flight late out, Thursday flight back in early because it was affordable compared to going out on the weekend. I'm flying into Innsbruck and I am staying literally 15 minutes from the airport. So that allowed me to fly late in without a big transfer time and early out as well to Mutteralm, which is a little tiny, little small, lovely little ski area just outside of Innsbruck.
Rob, you left that little tidbit of perfect knowledge for people to really benefit from to the 44th minute of the episode. I like it. It's supermarket tactics, making people just wait until the end to get the very best. I love it.
Well, you know, the people that last out to the end of the podcast, which I'm sure is the vast majority of our listeners,
they deserve that.
They're going to get the best information about skiing.
I love it. Well done, Rob. Safe skiing next week. Thanks,
Thank you.
listeners, for joining us this week. I will no doubt be seeing you on that Canadian flight in just over a week's time, Rob.
Oh, looking forward to it.
Very good. Thanks, and join us again. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Talkie-walkie. Pretty sure it's called a walkie-talkie, mate.